Thank you. Good morning, everyone. The Democratic Alliance is today launching its Take Back Your Power campaign to pressure the Ekurhuleni Metro to fulfill its constitutional obligations to reticulate electricity to its residents and businesses. Persistent and prolonged energy outages have affected areas all the way from Nigel to Alberton and have reached breaking point this year. The municipality seems completely incapable of getting to grips with its aging and ailing electricity infrastructure. On Friday alone, much of Davidson was subjected to a prolonged power outage. In February, a substation burned to the ground after years of warning about its state of despair, leaving all of the factories in New Era Springs without power for weeks. In the industrial hub of Wadeville, Germiston, the persistent outages all year have brought production and jobs to a halt. Edenvale, Tembisa, Alberton, Germiston, Boksburg, Vosloorus, Kempton Park, Kwa-Thema, Benoni, Davidson, Springs, Nigel, and Cachalia have become power outages hotspots, plagued by weekly outages. In the last year, substations have burned to the ground due to a lack of maintenance in Kempton Park, Springs, and Germiston. Ekurhuleni, by its own admission, now has in excess of 1,500 unplanned power outages a day, overwhelming its limited technical staff and leaving whole areas and sometimes entire towns without power for days on end.
Good morning. My name is Derek Thomson. For a city of its size and complexity, Ekurhuleni does not have sufficient technical staff to maintain and operate its electricity infrastructure. It presently has 951 repair and maintenance staff in its energy department and a vacancy rate of 30%. This contrasts woefully to the 2,787 repair and maintenance staff for the energy in the city of Cape Town and 1,007 in the eThekwini Metro. Ekurhuleni's energy staff are stretched thin, having to work overtime constantly to attend to its ailing energy grid. However, the Metro failed to allocate sufficient resources to its overtime budget, meaning pushing energy retort times longer and longer whenever there is an outage. Large swathes of Germiston were without power in early June after the staff went on a go slow and switched off areas as a result of the Metro's failure to pay its overtime bill. Ekurhuleni has a bloated management structure at the expense of service delivery, taxing its residents but not hiring the staff to fulfill its constitutional obligations. The National Energy Regulator of South Africa, NERSA, estimates that municipalities on average spend 10% of their salaries budget on staff for energy repairs, maintenance and reticulation. But Ekurhuleni spends a mere 3.7% on this critical function and constitutional obligation. All of this was admitted by the municipality when it was called to Parliament to explain its failure to reticulate energy, where it made a more startling admission. The city had been clandestinely implementing rotational load shedding due to its inability to maintain its own infrastructure and deal with illegal connections, even when Eskom supply was stable. The Metro also cited cable theft as a major cause for unplanned outages, with the Metro losing R500 million a year to this. The DA has spent the last decade calling for the Metro Police to establish a specialized unit to deal with cable theft in the Metro, but this suggestion has never been taken up by the ANC administration. However, in some instances, the DA has established that the claims of cable theft by the Metro are used as a cover for the fact that there's been a lack of maintenance on high voltage cables. Other factors that the DA has established as a cause of 1,500 unplanned daily outages include poor contractor management, where winning bidders subcontract out their work in violation of law. Many electrical substations are in critical condition and are not being upgraded nor maintained. Area managers rarely go out to the site of outages to assist their teams. Underspending of budgets or on priority repair and maintenance work, no monitoring systems for overtime, poor HR systems for non-performing employees. DA councillors in the city have done their utmost to work with the administration and officials to resolve this matter, but have faced the following challenges. The feedback or response from the energy team during outages are minimal, leaving council with little to no information to provide to residents. Call centre agents provide feedback to residents that are unreasonable or inaccurate. Energy officials are not available or not answering their phones during outages. The response time between reporting an outage and responding to the residents and fixing of the issue can be between 4 and 72 hours, sometimes even longer, due to huge backlogs are reported by the department because of staff shortages. The Metro is not clear on whether they respond to outages logged on the My Ekurhuleni app, as many of the logs remain open for days. The call centre does not always provide residents with a reference number when reporting outages. The department does not take proactive actions against properties that are overloading the network, causing equipment damage and tripping of substation. Major electricity cables are not repaired years after being logged as defective.
Thank you. I'd like to hand over to Michele Clarke.
Thank you, Ashor, and thank you to the media for attending this virtual Congress. Today, we really appreciate your attendance. The following recommendations have been made to Ekurhuleni, and I would also just like to talk about what we have done in the interim in order to deal with this, this issue. So standby team schedules for energy outages be shared on a weekly basis to all councillors. Rapid improvement of communications on outages. Estimated times on restored times must be communicated within 4 hours of the outage being reported. Same communication should be shared with all call centres as well as social media. A special task team to be convened, inclusive of national government departments, to investigate properties that are overloaded onto the network because of overcrowding, illegal connections and illegal backyard dwellings. In order to assist with illegal connections, the city should request the assistance of the SAPS and the SANDF to protect officials as well as property of the city and private property. The Metro should also investigate solutions to provide electricity or alternative energy sources to areas with illegal connections. Immediately fill all paid vacancies in the Energy Reticulation Department. The department should urgently implement a shift system that will reduce overtime costs and will allow the department to spend its budget more effectively. That the Metro publishes a schedule of energy rotational load shedding to allow businesses and residents to plan in advance. And that the Metro shares the budgets and accurate progress reports on all projects of energy infrastructure to date and allows regular in-person oversight visits to the projects by councillors. So what we've done as the DA, we have submitted petitions on all levels of government. We've had public meetings with community members as well as with business sectors. We have sent letters to the MECs and the ministers as well as to NERSA. We've also requested for forensic investigation, and this culminated in EMM being summoned before Parliament Committee on the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs regarding the endless power outages we face in the northern parts of the Metro. After years, the Mayor of Ekurhuleni has now pledged to take steps to address the power outages in parts of the city, but there's no implementation plan as yet, and despite making promises for years on end, nothing has come to the fore. We've also asked NERSA into an investigation in terms of Ekurhuleni Metro and to see whether they actually comply with their specifications in terms of what is stipulated in their licenses. The Mayor has pledged to stabilise the grid in certain areas now and to clean up illegal connections, but has constantly failed to set up a specialised unit in the Ekurhuleni Metro Police to clamp down on illegal connections. And for the ANC, illegal connections are a political football and its threat to the grid is totally ignored. Thank you.
Thank you, Michele. And now I'd like to hand over to Ghaleb Cachalia. Ghaleb, please unmute yourself.
Apologies. Thank you, Ashor. I will now deal with Eskom's role and responsibilities as I serve as the Shadow Minister for Public Enterprises, and Eskom falls under my purview. Eskom is responsible for load reductions during peak hours, which they attribute to network overloading as a result of illegal connections, meter bypasses, and tampering, as well as theft and vandalism of electricity infrastructure. The utility says it will replace faulty equipment as and when the customers pay tamper fines in full and meet their payment arrangements. And they go on to say that they envisage delays in restoring supply in these areas up to a minimum of 3 months. Now, this presents significant problems. And while it is common cause that illegal connections and meter bypasses by individuals calls for enforcement and penalties, it is incumbent on both Eskom and the municipality to work together to ensure that when dealing with transgressions, damages, vandalism, law-abiding and paying businesses and households are not prejudiced by blanket cutoffs. Moreover, we cannot countenance Eskom's inability to fix its baseload stability, particularly at a time when COVID-19 reduced demand by 7,000 megawatts and when maintenance was said to have added additional capacity. The paying households and businesses in Ekurhuleni cannot be held ransom by dint of mismanagement at both municipal and Eskom levels. Ekurhuleni Mayor Mzwandile Masina, a known Zuma acolyte, has previously supported calls to collapse the so-called white economy. And where he governs, he's clearly collapsing the entire economy through bad governance. Every hour of outage in the city is estimated to cost 1.6 billion rands in lost economic output. And considering that Ekurhuleni is the industrial heartland of Gauteng, this means that thousands of jobs are being placed at risk by a municipality that is failing to meet its constitutional obligations. So today, we are launching a city-wide effort to bring public pressure to bear on the Metro to get its act together. We are calling on all residents in the city to take back your power. We call on all residents to sign up to our campaign and add their voice to our efforts by visiting da.org.za/P/P Take Back Your Power. This is on the documentation that you will receive digitally. Please sign our petition, which we will use to demand Parliament and the province and the Metro take action. In the COVID-19 era, we will be running this campaign entirely digitally, and will be tabling demands of a critical mass of residents to Parliament, the provincial government, and the delinquent Metro. I thank you.
Thanks very much, Ghaleb. I'm now just going to share a quick video clip that we've put together. Second. Thank you very much. Before we take questions from the press, I am going to share on the chat function to everyone a document which confirms from the Metro all of what we've presented here today. So this was produced by the Metro, and it should be appearing in the chat box very shortly. Okay, so with that, can we have questions from the press, please? Please use the raise your hand function if there are any questions. I see a question from Marietta Lombard. Please, can you unmute yourself and go ahead?
Morning, guys. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you
Yes.
can.
I'm going to get straight to it. How's yet another petition going to help this? What is the petition going to do? We petition, we petition, we petition.
Okay. Mike,
How's
can
it
I
going to
ask
work?
you-
Okay, Mariette, thank you for the question. This is the first Metro-wide petition that we're actually running. In the past, we've run ward or constituency-based petitions to do with electricity. And because of the collapse of the grid in Ekurhuleni, we've decided to run a Metro-wide petition. So we feel that it'll be a lot more effective than just having a ward or a constituency running it on their own. Coupled with that, we are advertising the petition on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well, on social media. And so every time a resident, and that'll be launched from today, so every time a resident goes onto Facebook, for example, within the boundaries of Ekurhuleni, they'll be faced with this advert of our petition. So we hope it's going to have a far-reaching appeal, and we will be able to garner thousands of signatures. Now, the reason why we've made it a Metro-wide petition is obviously because it affects the entire Metro. There's not one area in the Metro that is not affected by outages on a regular basis. But we want to show NERSA in particular that the residents of Ekurhuleni are fed up of not having a reliable and consistent electricity source. And NERSA is responsible for awarding the license to Ekurhuleni to provide electricity to us. And we believe they have failed in meeting their standards in that license agreement, and we are calling for a forensic audit of the electricity department. So that's why we feel it will have a bigger impact than just a smaller petition would have had from one branch, for example.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any further questions? I see you want to comment on something. Michelle, you go and I will.
Just building on what Mike said, just to inform the press that 2 weeks ago, Mike and myself and Darren Bergman, who's the MP for Alberton, were summoned to the Clr Committee of Parliament because of the petitions we've already submitted. At that Clr meeting, the mayor, the city manager, and Mark Wilson, who's the HOD for energy, was also asked to account for what's been happening in Ekurhuleni. Subsequently to that, we've also made many member statements in Parliament around what's been happening in Ekurhuleni. And, you know, if you don't continue that kind of pressure, you don't have the platform in order to put pressure on the powers to be, in order to perform their constitutional mandate. And therefore, Ekurhuleni was summoned to Clr because of all the petitions and questions and member statements we have put forward in Parliament at this stage.
And Ashor, if I can just add, the fact is we are doing all we can in our power to hold Ekurhuleni to account. What we need from the residents is their support in signing the petition. That's what they can do to support us in ensuring that we keep the pressure on Ekurhuleni. So we appeal to every single person that's 16 years and older to sign the petition, that every person in every household, irrespective of how many people in the household, to sign the petition and share it far and wide. Please.
Mike, I see there's a question here. If you can unmute yourself, please go ahead.
Hi, sorry, yeah, thanks. How long does it take before a petition turns into decisive action being taken? So from the process of having community members, you know, if should one advertise this or in whatever way you choose, how long does it take for a petition to reach its full potential and actually turn into decisive action being taken?
Mike, go ahead.
Well, that obviously depends on how much pressure we keep putting on, for example, the chairperson of the Clr committee in Parliament. So when I submitted a petition last year, June, July, to Parliament with regards to the Glenmarais substation fire, I kept writing to the chairperson asking when it's coming before the committee. And it then came before the committee in November last year. Then Michelle mentioned that 2 weeks ago we had a Clr meeting with other petitions, and those petitions were submitted in, if I remember correctly, November, and we dealt with them in May. Yeah, end of May. So it does take a few months because the process in Parliament is quite slow. But what we do, we keep the pressure on the committee chairs, for example, to ensure that those petitions do come before the committee. So we hold Ekurhuleni to account. As far as NERSA is concerned, we'll be handing over the petition. We haven't set a date for that yet. And we will continuously write to NERSA to ensure that they do a forensic audit of the electricity department of Ekurhuleni. So to answer your question, it'll probably take about 4 or 5 months in order to get, to get the process exhausted, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, thanks for that. If I'm allowed to ask just one more thing on that, or then just relating to it, I think that we speak to a lot of public and we deal with a lot of public, and the feel that we get is that there's a loss of interest when too much time goes by. You sign a petition and you'll forget even signing it months later. Is there any way to I don't know how to say, either not speed up the process? I understand these things have to do what they have to do, but as I say, there's loss of public interest when things tend to drag on for months and weeks and even longer.
We'll keep the public informed of all the action steps we're taking. So, for example, when the councillors through Derek's, and others submit motions in council, will inform the media, and hopefully the media will then print that, or in yourself, you'll air that to your listeners. We will let the media know when we hand over the petition in Parliament, in Council, in Legislature, and to NERSA. And all these action steps should keep the public's, attention, high, and keep them engaged in the process, because the electricity crisis is not going to go away in the next few months. We all know that. So residents, every time they have electricity outage, will be reminded that they have signed the petition, no doubt, and that the DA is trying to find solutions to this crisis.
Thanks, Mike. I'm not sure if there are any other questions from anyone else present, any of the other media houses.
Ghaleb wants to ask.
Ghaleb, I see you have a hand. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Ashor. I just want to say that in the Department of Portfolio Committee of the Department of Public Enterprises, it looks after 7 public entities, of which Eskom is arguably the most important and appears regularly before it. So that affords me and my colleague an opportunity to constantly question them on these issues and to feed back to the residents of Ekurhuleni on a regular basis. So I hope that gives you some satisfaction as to what happens within the legislative environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghaleb. I see no further hands. I'm assuming there are no further questions. I'm not sure if any other panelists would like to add anything.
Sure, if I could come in here.
Sure, go ahead, Derek.
Okay, Mike is aware that I'm seconding a motion, an urgent motion to council on Thursday, also due to all these electrical outages and stuff like that. So we are putting pressure on from the metro level. I just feel that for the doubting Thomases out there, from a parliamentary perspective, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to have the top-down thing so that we can get more response. Our energy crisis is actually worse than it appears. And our substations, our infrastructure is failing us dismally at this stage in this metro. So much so that I've done 2 or 3 unannounced oversights, and I'm not at liberty to disclose, but what I see is and I'm a qualified electrician by trade, so it's absolutely scary. Thank you.